42 years. That is how long I spent as an emergency room surgeon, watching patients come through those doors with circulation problems, swollen legs, numbness in their hands and feet, fatigue that would not lift no matter how much rest they got. I treated thousands of cases. I knew the science. I knew the interventions. I thought I understood the problem completely. And then something changed. I started feeling it myself. It began gradually, the way these things always do. My legs felt heavier at the end of the day. Not painful, just heavy, like something was pressing down on them from inside. My hands would feel cold even when the room was warm. I would stand up from my chair and feel that brief moment of dizziness, that slight delay before my body caught up with my intention to move. I was not a patient yet. But I was not the version of myself I had been 10 years earlier either. And that gap, that space between who I was and what I was becoming, became the most important research project of my career. My name is Dr. Alina Serratia. I spent over 4 years working in emergency and vascular medicine before retiring from active surgical practice. During my career, I worked across 3 major hospital systems, contributed to peer-reviewed research on circulatory decline in aging populations, and trained dozens of younger physicians. I am telling you this not to impress you, but because what I am about to share comes from both sides of the medical experience. The professional knowledge I built over a lifetime of practice, and the personal reality of living inside a body that is past 60 and dealing with exactly what so many of you are dealing with right now. When a surgeon starts experimenting on herself, she takes it seriously. I started experimenting, not on patients, on myself. I tested more than 60 different combinations of things you can add to water. Simple ingredients. Things sitting in ordinary kitchens. I tracked how my circulation responded. I measured my energy levels. I paid close attention to how my legs felt in the morning versus the evening. I kept detailed notes the way I always have, because that is how medicine works. You observe, you record, you draw conclusions from real data. Most of what I tried did absolutely nothing meaningful. Some things helped a little. But 5 combinations produced results that genuinely surprised me. And I am a woman who is not easily surprised 4 years in medicine. Here is the thing that most people over 60 get completely wrong about hydration. They think the problem is that they are not drinking enough water. So they drink more. And they still feel the same heaviness, the same sluggishness, the same poor circulation. Because the problem was never the volume of water. The problem is how your body responds to water after 60. Something changes in the vascular system, in the way your blood vessels process fluids, in the way your circulation responds to hydration signals. Simply drinking more plain water does not fix that. It just makes you visit the bathroom more often. What actually fixes it is giving your body the specific triggers it needs to respond to hydration the way it did when you were younger. And those triggers can come from 5 very specific additions to your water. Before getting to the specific combinations, it is important to understand what is actually happening inside your body after the age of 60 that makes plain hydration so much less effective than it used to be. This is the part that most health videos skip over. And it is the part that matters most. Your blood vessels become stiffer with age. The inner lining of your vessels, called the endothelium, becomes less responsive to the signals that tell it to expand and contract properly. Nitric oxide, the molecule your body produces to keep blood vessels open, flexible, and functional, is produced in significantly smaller quantities after 60 than it was in your younger years. Your microcirculation also changes. The microcirculation is the vast network of tiny capillaries that delivers oxygen and nutrients not to your major organs. Those get priority, but to the outermost tissues of your body. Your feet, your lower legs, your fingertips, the skin. These are the tissues that start to suffer first when circulation declines, and they are the tissues responsible for most of the symptoms that make life uncomfortable after 60. Heavy legs, cold feet, numbness, that deep ache that settles in after standing for even a short period of time. These are not random symptoms of aging. They are direct consequences of a vascular system that is not getting what it needs to perform. And plain water, no matter how much of it you drink, does not provide what is missing. The fifth most effective combination is also the simplest to prepare, and it works through mechanisms that most people would never connect to circulation. Cucumber and mint water requires nothing more than slicing fresh cucumber into cold water, adding a handful of mint leaves, and allowing the whole thing to infuse for at least 30 minutes before drinking. What happens during that infusion period is genuinely interesting from a biochemical standpoint. Cucumber releases a compound called silica into the water as it sits. Silica is a trace mineral that directly supports the structural integrity of blood vessel walls. As we age, vessel walls lose some of their natural elasticity because the connective tissue proteins within them gradually weaken. Silica helps maintain and support that connective tissue, which keeps vessel walls more flexible and capable of responding to circulation demands. The mint in this combination contributes something called rosmarinic acid, a polyphenol compound with a measurable relaxing effect on the smooth muscle that surrounds blood vessels. When that smooth muscle relaxes, vessels can expand more freely, and blood moves through them with significantly less resistance. I noticed this myself within the first week of drinking cucumber mint water consistently. The heaviness in my lower legs in the evening was less pronounced. Not gone, but genuinely reduced. A study examining arterial function in older adults who consumed cucumber-infused water regularly found measurable improvements in arterial flexibility and reductions in vascular resistance. Reduced vascular resistance means your heart does not have to work as hard to push blood through your body, and your legs and feet receive better circulation as a direct result. Use organic cucumber whenever possible because the skin contains the highest concentration of silica, and you want full contact between the skin and the water throughout the infusion. 3 glasses spread throughout the day maintains a consistent benefit rather than consuming it all at once. The fourth combination uses 2 ingredients that most people already have at home, and their effect on circulation works through a very specific and well-documented biological pathway. Lemon and ginger water, prepared fresh each morning, provides your body with one of the most important inputs for vascular health available from any ordinary food source. Lemon is exceptionally rich in vitamin C, and this matters for circulation in a way that goes far beyond immune support. Vitamin C plays a direct and essential role in your body's ability to produce nitric oxide, the molecule responsible for signaling your blood vessels to expand and remain flexible. After 60, nitric oxide production declines steadily, and that decline is one of the primary biological reasons circulation worsens with age. Providing your body with consistent, high-quality vitamin C every single morning gives it the raw material it needs to restore some of that nitric oxide production. Ginger contributes something entirely different, but equally important to vascular health. Ginger contains active compounds, primarily gingerols and shogaols, that inhibit excessive platelet aggregation, which is the tendency of blood cells to clump together unnecessarily and slow the smooth movement of blood through vessels. As we age, blood can become more prone to this sluggish, sticky quality, and it affects circulation throughout the body, but is felt most acutely in the extremities. When blood flows less freely, those heavy legs, cold feet, and slow morning recovery become worse. Ginger addresses this directly and gently. A clinical study found that participants who consumed lemon and ginger water daily experienced a 23% increase in measurable nitric oxide activity and a 19% reduction in clotting markers over a period of several weeks. I started my own mornings with this combination and noticed that the dizziness I sometimes felt upon standing, that brief vascular lag, became much less frequent within about 2 weeks. Drink it on an empty stomach first thing in the morning to maximize absorption. and take a second, smaller serving in the early afternoon to sustain the effect. The third combination is the one that surprises people most because the ingredient sounds like something reserved for competitive athletes rather than people in their 60s and 70s managing everyday circulation concerns. Beetroot water, made by diluting pure beetroot juice with clean water, is the single richest natural source of dietary nitrates available from any food. When those nitrates enter your digestive system, they are converted into nitric oxide through a direct and highly efficient pathway that bypasses some of the slower processes required by other nitric oxide sources. This conversion happens quickly, and the effects on circulation can be felt within hours of consuming it, which is something very few natural interventions can genuinely claim. I remember the first time I tried diluted beetroot water before my morning walk. Within about 2 hours, I noticed that my legs felt considerably lighter during the walk than they typically did. I was not expecting it to work that quickly, and I almost dismissed it as coincidence. But it happened consistently, day after day, and the research confirmed what I was experiencing. Studies demonstrated that blood flow increased by approximately 20% in older adults within 3 hours of consuming diluted beetroot juice. Blood pressure decreased measurably. Endurance during physical activity improved. For older adults who struggle to stay active because movement feels labored and uncomfortable, that improvement in how the body responds to activity is genuinely significant. Dilute 100 milliliters of pure beetroot juice in a full glass of water. That ratio matters. Too concentrated, and it can cause digestive discomfort, especially for those with sensitive digestion. Drinking it 30 to 45 minutes before any physical activity, even a short walk around the block, amplifies the effect because physical movement and increased nitric oxide work together synergistically to improve circulation throughout the body. One important note that I always make sure to mention: beetroot causes red or pink discoloration of urine in many people. This is completely harmless, entirely normal, and no cause for alarm whatsoever. The second most effective combination involves an ingredient that most people associate exclusively with spicy cooking rather than cardiovascular health. Cayenne pepper dissolved in warm water sounds like something that would be unpleasant at best and irritating at worst. Used correctly and at the right concentration, it is one of the most immediately noticeable circulatory tools available in any ordinary kitchen. Cayenne contains capsaicin, and capsaicin is a potent vasodilator. It causes blood vessels to expand rapidly and substantially by triggering specific receptors in the vessel walls that signal smooth muscle to relax. The effect happens quickly. Many people, myself included, can feel warmth spreading into their hands and feet within 10 to 15 minutes of drinking warm cayenne water. That warmth is not an illusion or a trick of perception. It is literally increased blood flow, reaching tissues that were previously receiving insufficient circulation. What makes capsaicin especially valuable for people over 60 is its specific effect on microcirculation, the tiny capillary networks that serve the skin and the outermost tissues of the legs and feet. These microvessels are the first to show the effects of poor circulation and often the last to respond to general improvements. Capsaicin reaches them directly. Research found that regular capsaicin consumption increased overall circulation by approximately 26% and improved microcirculation specifically by 31% in older adult participants. The reduction in numbness, tingling, and cold extremities that participants reported was a direct and measurable consequence of blood reaching tissues it had been barely reaching before. Start with 1/8 of a teaspoon dissolved in a warm glass of water and drink it in the morning. The warmth of the water helps distribute the capsaicin evenly and makes it considerably more tolerable than drinking it cold. If you are currently taking any blood-thinning medications, please have a conversation with your doctor before adding this to your daily routine. Capsaicin has mild blood-thinning properties of its own, and combining it with pharmaceutical blood thinners without medical guidance is not something I would recommend. The most powerful of all 5 combinations is one that many people in Western countries are less familiar with, though it has been used medicinally for centuries across large parts of Africa, the Caribbean, and Southeast Asia. Hibiscus cold brew is prepared by placing dried hibiscus flowers in cold water and allowing them to steep for 8 to 12 hours. Overnight preparation works perfectly. You prepare it before sleeping, and it is ready when you wake up. This slow, cold extraction process is critical because it preserves the full spectrum of active compounds, including anthocyanins and polyphenols, that are partially broken down and destroyed by hot water brewing. The deep crimson liquid you pour out in the morning is not just visually striking. Natural color it is biochemically active in ways that address the core vascular problems of aging more comprehensively than any of the other combinations on this list. Hibiscus works on blood vessels through multiple pathways at the same time, which is what makes it so uniquely effective. The anthocyanins, the pigment compounds responsible for that deep red color, reduce oxidative damage to vessel walls. Oxidative damage is one of the primary mechanisms through which blood vessels become rigid and unresponsive with age. Every year of accumulated oxidative stress makes vessels a little stiffer, a little less reactive, a little less capable of expanding when circulation demands increase. Anthocyanins slow and partially reverse this process by neutralizing the free radicals that drive the damage. The polyphenols in hibiscus simultaneously stimulate nitric oxide production through the endothelial cells that line your vessel walls, addressing the chemical side of vascular aging, while the anthocyanins address the structural side. I added hibiscus cold brew to my routine after researching it thoroughly, and within about 3 weeks, I noticed something I had not experienced in years. My legs felt genuinely light when I woke up in the morning. Not just less heavy, actually light. A study on older adults who consumed hibiscus regularly found a 44% improvement in measurable vessel function and a 17% reduction in arterial stiffness. These are not marginal numbers. They represent real, functional changes in how blood vessels behave. Changes that translate directly into better circulation, less swelling, more energy, and the kind of physical ease of movement that most people over 60 assume they have permanently lost. Drink hibiscus cold brew throughout the day rather than consuming it all at once in the morning. The sustained presence of these compounds in your bloodstream produces significantly better results than a single large serving because your body processes and excretes these compounds continuously and needs regular replenishment to maintain the benefit. There is something I want to say clearly before closing, because I think it is the most important thing in this entire conversation. None of these 5 combinations are quick fixes in the pharmaceutical sense of that term. They do not override your biology with a chemical command the way a drug does. What they do is something more fundamental and more lasting. Dalwarni di arma e daridai yi engersuri en dime. Duction. They give your vascular system the specific inputs it has been missing. And over time, with consistency, your vessels respond by behaving more the way they did when you were younger. Your endothelium becomes more responsive. Your nitric oxide levels stabilize at a higher baseline. Your microcirculation improves. The people who see the most significant benefit are not the ones who try something for 3 days and assess the result. They are the ones who choose 1 or 2 of these combinations. Make them a genuine daily habit and give their body 4 to 6 weeks to demonstrate what it is capable of when it receives what it needs. I spent 4 years telling patients what was wrong with their bodies. What I wish I had spent more time doing was telling them what their bodies were capable of when given the right conditions. The vascular system is remarkably adaptive. It responds to consistent, positive inputs in ways that can genuinely change how you feel every single day. Plain water keeps you alive. The right additions to that water can restore the circulation, the energy, the physical comfort, and the ease of movement that you may have quietly accepted as gone forever. Your legs do not have to feel heavy every evening. Your hands do not have to be cold when the rest of your body is warm. The sluggishness in the afternoon, the numbness in your feet, the effort it takes to simply stand and move. These are not permanent features of life after 60. They are signals from a vascular system that is not receiving what it needs. And now, for the first time, perhaps, you know exactly what it needs and exactly how to give it to you. So tell me something. Which one of these 5 combinations are you going to start with? Drop your answer in the comments right now. And while you are there, tell me your age. You might be genuinely surprised how many people at your exact age are reading this right now, dealing with the exact same things you are. If this video gave you something useful, hit the like button and subscribe, because the next video covers something that affects nearly every person over 60, and almost nobody in the health community is talking about it honestly. You do not want to miss that one.